I'm going to give you a few tutorials here on SketchUp, and we're going to talk in this first video about the basics. Um, so when you open SketchUp, the very first thing you're going to see is this screen, and it's going to ask you what you want to do. And we want to click on this bottom icon down here that says Start Using SketchUp. And it should give you a basic screen. Now I've got some stuff already in this model. I'm not sure why it gave me that one. I'm going to close that out and say File New. And I'm going to go and start drawing. Now, what we're going to do here is I'm going to explain 5 different things in this video. I'm going to talk to you about the axes. I'm going to talk to you about lines, how to create shapes, how to erase lines or shapes, and how to rotate around, or we call it revolve in SketchUp, how to revolve around an object. So let's just start with talking to you a little bit about the axes. This is your y-axis, this is your x-axis, and this is your z-axis. This goes back in space, this goes vertically up and down, and this is going to take you left or right. Now, anything you draw in SketchUp really needs to follow one of these axes for the most part. So I'll talk to you about your eraser in a minute, but this is your pencil tool. This is where we'll start. So you click on the pencil tool, and you'll notice some of these tools have little carrots. Okay, I call these little black things carrots. And if you click on the carrot, you can draw different ways. You can draw straight lines, or you can draw freehand lines. I very rarely use this tool. Most of what I do is all drawn with a pencil tool. So I'm going to start. You can start anywhere, and you can take this guy out or you can leave him. I typically leave him there just to make sure I'm drawing in correct scale. He's about 6 feet tall, and that helps me know that I'm drawing something in the appropriate size. So I'm going to start by clicking. I've just clicked. I'm not holding down the button. I just click once, and I'm going to drag in a direction. And you'll notice that this line is going green because I'm drawing in my z-axis going backwards. Okay, so if it turns black, that's bad. You don't know where you're drawing or which direction you're drawing. So you've got to make sure you're staying locked in on those axes. So I push my mouse back, and I've let go of my mouse at this point, and it's waiting for a keyboard entry. And if you look down in the bottom right corner, you'll see that it says length 6'3" and 5/16 inches. You can type whatever length you want. So in this tutorial, I'm just going to type 2 feet. Okay, a little single line next to it means feet. You can also type it in inches if you want, which I doubt y'all will be doing because you're going to be making very large objects. But you could do it in inches, so you could say 24 inches. So for this tutorial, I'm going to say 2 feet. Now I'm going to go in a different direction. I'm going to go in my red direction, okay, my x-axis, and I'm going to say 2 feet and hit enter. Now I'm going to drag my mouse. I'm not clicking anything. I'm just dragging my mouse so that it lines back up with that green axis, and I'm going to type 24. Those 24 inches is the same as 2 feet. Okay? And then I'm going to go back over here, and on this one, if I want to close the shape, I don't have to type anything. I'm just going to go, and if you'll see a little bitty green dot down there, that means it's going to snap to that endpoint, and it actually says endpoint, and I click. You'll notice that those lines, those individual black lines that I was making, actually filled in with a shape whenever I finished the loop. Okay, when I enclosed it, it actually made a shape. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the revolve tool. This is the revolve or the orbit tool. Okay, and I'm going to orbit, and I can rotate myself around the axis. Now our little guy there, he's built in to always face me, so he kind of spins, and it's kind of weird. He kind of hovers, but you'll see that the axes are actually rotating around. I can go up and down, left, right. Okay, I can rotate around the shape. I can also use the wheel on my mouse to zoom in or to zoom out. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit, and I'm going to double check my measurements by using the measure tool, and I'm going to click once, and I'm going to click on this endpoint down here, and it says 2 feet. You'll notice it says 2 feet under the measuring tool, and then also in the bottom right hand corner it says 2 feet. You always want to double check your measurements to make sure that they are correct. Now I told you I was going to tell you about the erase tool. In the event that you mess up, you can get the erase tool and you can erase a line just by clicking on that line. You'll notice that the shape disappears because we no longer have a shape. We only have lines. We don't have an enclosed shape. So if I wanted to fix that, I could just get my pencil tool, recreate my line, and it's going to recreate my shape. So for this project, most of the things that you're going to be creating are going to be rectangular prisms or cylinders. So I've talked to you about how to make a square. Okay, you can make a rectangle in the same way by just simply drawing it with the pencil tool. You could say I want this one to be 5 feet by, make sure I'm going my green axis this time. I got to kind of move around until I find it. There it is. I'm going to say I want it to be 1 foot, and I want to go back in the red axis 5 feet, and then I'm going to close it. So I've got, you can draw any different shape of rectangle that you want as long as you stay within those axes. A little hard to see in this angle, so I'm going to rotate up. Alright, so that's a rectangle or a square. So let's talk about circles. Alright, actually I'm going to click on this caret. You can make a rectangle. There's also a rectangle tool. I wanted you to understand the pencil tool before I showed you this one. There's also a polygon tool and a circle tool. So I'm going to click on this rectangle tool and just tell you how this works quickly, but you just click once, and again, you only click. You're not holding down the button, you're just clicking and dragging, and you'll notice down in the bottom right hand corner there's your dimensions. So if I wanted to make a rectangle that was 3 feet by 4 feet, or let's do 3 feet by 6 feet, I would simply type 3 feet and then comma, so that I can do the other one, 6 feet, and hit enter. And it made a rectangle that was 3 feet by 6 feet. So it's a little bit easier than typing in so much information using that rectangle tool. Similarly, there is a circle tool. And you can make a circle and drag out again. It's a click and let go of the mouse and just drag it in one direction, and you'll see that you can let go of the mouse and just move. You can let go of all buttons and just pull it back. And in the bottom right hand corner, the radius. Okay, remember the radius is, the definition of a radius is the distance from the center to the outside of the circle. So if I want the radius to be 2 feet, the diameter is going to be 4 feet. So I type in 2 feet and hit enter. Alright, now you'll notice that I made a mistake. My two shapes overlap. Okay, I cannot, if I select all this and I hit the move tool, which we haven't discussed yet, but I double clicked it and I hit move, look what it's going to do to my other shapes. It's going to mess them up. Okay, so as we start out, I want you to make sure that you don't overlap any of your shapes. If you do that and you just want to undo all of it, simply go to edit, undo, or hit Control Z will undo. So I'm going to redo that circle. I'm going to put a little bit further over here, and I'm going to type 2 feet. All right. So now we've talked about two-dimensional shapes. The next tutorial is going to talk about how to make those shapes become three-dimensional, and we're going to talk a little bit about how to group them so that last problem I showed you where things overlap and mess up doesn't happen. So that will be in the second video.